talk with Jim Barker about as we bring him in from the CFL on TSN, 5-time Grey Cup champion, XFL champion, and a lot of other things. Coach, the inevitable happened with the firing of Brandon Staley. I'm sure you're not shocked by that news today.
No, they could have done it at halftime. That 42-0 to a team that didn't score 3 days or 4 days earlier. It was just, they played with nothing. And, you know, they'd had Justin Herbert all year, who was one of the, you know, a top young prospect. And their whole season has just been bad. So they might as well cut. I was surprised they let go of Tom Tedesco also at this time. But they're probably, you know, they're going to go out and try to find that one person. And, you know, it'll be interesting or that person to be the GM, then go hire the coach. I'm guessing that's what they're going to do, but you never know. Because the Raiders, they're probably going to be looking for something.
Yeah, as you know, you never know what goes on behind the scenes. So we got to move on with some rapid fire things. I would like, and I know our viewers would, your take on Curtis Rourke transferring to Indiana, what it means, why he did it, and what he's hoping to accomplish there by pushing his pro chances a year down the road.
Well, he's trying to accomplish what Michael Penix accomplished going from Indiana to the University of Washington. He's trying to go from the University of Ohio, which runs an offense. It's not NFL style at all. And he just wasn't, and he sees it with his brother. You know, he needs the time and that kind of a system. Well, Indiana fired Tom Allen, hired Curt Cignetti from James Madison, one of the top FBS programs in the country, or the smaller schools in the country. And Curtis will go in and, you know, they're a pro-style offense. And Cignetti was actually a former quarterback. He's got a good staff. There'll be a brand new staff coming in. It's a good place for a guy in the portal to go because they won't be attached to anybody. When you transfer to a place where they've got people there, they've spent a year recruiting, they've got people there that they like. He's going to a place that, you know, he'll step right in and he'll be probably the starter on day one of spring practice. So, it makes a lot of sense. He's going to be playing at a higher level. And again, just trying to up his NFL draft stock. I don't think it has anything to do with his CFL draft stock, but he's trying to up his NFL draft stock by going to a Big Ten school.
Any questions for Jim Barker, fire them at me now, please. 902-518-3033 is the Sober Carpenter text line. Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers. Ask for them by name at your favorite beer, wine, and spirit store or on the YouTube live feed. I'll just ask you this. Were you able to watch Curtis much at all this year? He was the MAC Conference Player of the Year 2 seasons ago. I think a second-team All-Star this year. So they're saying he dipped a little. What are your thoughts? What do you see for him?
I think he's going to be more pro-ready than Nathan was, more NFL-ready. Nathan, again, we watched film on him, and you couldn't see how his game was going to translate at the professional level. And again, obviously, when he went to the BC Lions, he proved how it was going to translate. Curtis is a totally different type of guy. He's 6'5". He's not going to run and move as well as Nathan, but he's still got the same kind of accuracy. You imagine he has the same kind of mental tenacity. But again, until you watch him in a different setting, it's going to be difficult to know. I think he's got a much better chance of being drafted in the NFL. Obviously, his brother was not drafted. I think he's got a much better shot at that just because he's 6'5". He more suits what they're looking for. But I thought he's a pretty accurate passer. He's got a fairly strong arm. I think he's going to be an NFL prospect. How high he'll go, a lot will depend on, you know, what happens in his year at Indiana.
Well, I'll tell you what, I saw him live here at FAU. We were all very excited to see Ohio come to town, and you're right, he's not his brother. He's bigger, but he stood in the pocket. He didn't look mobile. He didn't look healthy. He labored around on that knee, and I'm like, this isn't Nathan, but he rallied Ohio to a big second-half comeback, and that's what he does, right? So I hope he's healthy, and he's just got certain things that are qualities that not everybody possesses. A special player. Kirk in Toronto has answered the bell, and he says, could you please ask Jim who he thinks might end up as defensive coordinator of the Argos.
Well, I've heard it's going to be internal. Again, I don't know that. And if it was internal, Kevin Iben is a possibility. Kevin's been there a few years. He would be a possibility. I've heard Jason Shivers, who his name was brought up early, but I've heard he's going to go to Edmonton with Chris Jones, who's probably hearing a lot of what you and Moose were talking about. He's got to get some things off of his plate. And by getting the defensive coordinator thing off, I'm telling you, being a head coach when you've been a coordinator a long time and you're still trying to, I went from being an offensive coordinator, people forget my background, but I was an offensive coordinator, won 2 straight championships, had 2 straight quarterback MVPs, and thought I had all the answers. And as a head coach, I was a bad head coach to be an offensive coordinator for, because I wanted them to have their own offense, but to do things my way. And it was very difficult for them. So I wasn't very good head coach for an offensive coordinator. So it'll be interesting to see. This will be the first time ever Chris has a defensive coordinator. But Jason Shivers is a guy who's coached for him, and that would make sense if that, in fact, does happen. Again, it's all just rumor. In Toronto, that would leave, William Fields or Kevin Iben, possibly Josh Bell. I've heard he's going with Corey Mace to be the coordinator in Saskatchewan. Again, these assistant things, they happen very, I don't know, they just seem to, a lot of them are done, but you don't hear about them. And so, again, if in fact it's internal, William Fields, or who's been in the CFL for quite a while now, or Kevin Iben. Again, either one is going to be a big change from Corey Mays. So it's going to be very interesting. I did hear also that Toronto's looking at some defensive line coaches, which would mean more that they're going to hire a coordinator from within and try to fill out the positions when Corey coached the D-line and was the coordinator. So the whole assistant thing is very interesting right now. And when you're behind the scenes, you hear about this guy's talking to these people and this guy's talking to these people. And, you just hear rumors about, young guys trying to get in. Andrew Harris potentially getting involved in coaching. Is that going to be with Toronto? Could that be with Saskatchewan, with Corey Mace? Chad Rimple, a good young guy who played for me and played 12 years in the league, who would be a fantastic special teams coach. He's in, he's trying to break in, and he's talked to 3 different teams. And, you hope that you see these young guys get an opportunity to do, to get into it, because it is a difficult thing. So in terms of Toronto coordinator, like I say, Fields, Iben, or I had heard Jason Shivers, but now I hear he's gone to Edmonton. So who knows?
Yeah. Our Jim Barker appearances weekly are brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. They'll find you the perfect keynote speaker for your event. I guess while you're here, you are the CFL guy. Bowl season's coming up. Maybe we'll push that to next week. But because the schedule came out yesterday and everybody's so excited. I never was a big schedule guy. I'm like, just tell me where we need to be and when, and I'll be there, But as a personnel guy like yourself and a GM, how big of a day is it? Schedule release day.
Well, if they're all like this, it doesn't become that big a day, because this is the best schedule I've seen since I've been in this league in terms of a continuity. And I love the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all summer long. I think it's a fantastic thing that people know that 7 o'clock Eastern, they're going to be able to find a CFL game on those nights. And I know it's not convenient. Thursday games aren't always convenient for people, but again, a lot of people who have things in the summer, they have cottages, they love the Thursday night games. So, it's like everything. It's impossible to make everybody happy. I didn't see a lot of short weeks. I didn't see a lot of play Monday, play Thursday type things like they had last year with Hamilton having to do that. So I did not study it. I didn't look at it from any team. when you're with a team, you look at how many short weeks do we have, where are our bye weeks at, those kinds of things. I did not do that with any team. I looked at it and saw the Thursday through Sunday games all summer long till Labor Day, and mostly doubleheader Friday, doubleheader Saturday. We only have the one triple header, it looks like, this year. So again, I think those kinds of things are good for the league, and I give kudos to to the league office for getting it out. I know there's a lot of people think it should be out during Grey Cup week, but I like what they've done, and again, every team, it's back to a balanced schedule, and I think that's important. I mean, watching Hamilton and Toronto play is exciting, but watching them play 6 times in a year isn't. It's just not. It's just not right. So I love that they're playing every team home and home, and then they're playing 2 teams in their division 3 times. But there's no more of Hamilton play Toronto 4 times in August. I mean, that kind of thing is crazy.
Yeah, we're back to what the CFL was great pre-COVID. It really feels like with the schedule. I got to ask you this, the last one. I think it's 41 bowl games, 41 or 42, and we're going to broadcast
43.
live next week from the Boca Bowl
it's
here.
43.
Is it 43? Okay.
Yes.
Is it too many, or do you like it?
I like it. I mean, is watching Georgia Southern against Ohio. Is that an exciting game? Ohio doesn't have Curtis. These teams are all losing players that are either gone into the portal, so the coach isn't going to play them, or it doesn't mean they can't play them. Like, for example, Ohio State, McCord has gone into the portal, and supposedly Ryan Day is not going to play him. He's going to play a young guy. It's turned into kind of a spring game against another school. It's so hard to tell because there's so many players that are opting out nowadays. Obviously, when you get to the top teams, the top 4 teams that'll be playing the last 4 games, Alabama and Washington and Texas and Michigan, those teams, they'll all be playing, and that's a chance to do something rare, to win a national championship. For a football guy to be able to see all these games and one more chance to evaluate players, and for players who are seniors, a chance to show what they can do one more team. I think it's a good thing. I like it. I just went through and picked every game yesterday, and it's a lot of fun to look at, and you got teams at Jacksonville State with Rich Rodriguez as their head coach, is in their first bowl game ever. So you got games that people aren't going to care about. I doubt the ratings or even the stands are going to be full for a lot of these, but there's some really intriguing games. Georgia, Florida State. I mean, that's a great
Huge
matchup. It's just I think it's the
Orange
Bowl, and to me that's a great matchup. And I can't wait till I think Georgia's going to win, but if Florida State wins, that throws more cold water on that committee that decided not to put them in. So I guarantee you there'll be 10 or 12 people, whoever's on that committee, rooting like crazy for Georgia.
Well, then at least if FSU wins, at least those players will get a ring. But I just here last year in the Boca Bowl, Liberty comes down without Hugh Freeze, without Ken Austin. I felt sorry for the kids. They got bombed by Toledo. So I think the way I look at it, just enjoy it for what it is. It is what it is. It's like you say, one more game, and let's be glad for that. Jim, thanks for this. Happy holidays. We'll chat with you in a week.
Okay. Thanks, Rod.
CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. And again, our presentation of EMJ Marketing. They'll provide the perfect keynote speaker for your event, including Jim Barker. Look up Joe at emjmarketing.com.